going on, everybody? Big J here. Today I'm going to bring you a complete in-depth guide for the telescope step of the main Easter egg. It's this step most people tell me they have trouble with, either finding the symbols or finding the scratches. You'll get 3 symbols in your game, and each symbol will have at least 2 sets of scratch marks, but there's 7 possible symbol locations and 21 possible scratch mark locations, and we're going to run through all of them in this video. Once you have them though, add up your scratch marks and you're going to input them into this machine with the lowest amount of scratch marks first, then the middle, then the one with the most amount of scratch marks last. So after you do the pack-a-punch, come back and interact with the crystal. You'll get the telescope symbol, head on up to the cemetery, go to the mausoleum, and you will see the top lightning rod here. Just hit that with any gun with silver bullets on it, and you'll see the light beam start the next step. Now head to the North Atrium Bridge for the next step. Now what you have to do is come up here and interact with these 3 dials here. If you do it a specific way, it's really not hard. You got to start in the center and just go left, hitting left every time until you line up the first beam. Once the first beam's lined up, and you'll know because it'll give you a sound, and if you look up there was the noise, and then go to the left one, line up the left one. It's green, blue, red, green, blue, red. Line up just keep going left, use the same direction on each one of the terminals. What you're going to do is you're going to line up the center one, then line up the left one, line up the right one, then repeat the process. Line up the center one, line up the left one, line up the right one. And if you do that every time, it'll work every time. So this is the first time I lined up the center, then I lined up the left, now I'm lining up the right. There it is, and now just go back to the center, line up the center again. Hear that noise. So now the green's lined up again. Now work the blue. Blue's on. And I'll just hit the right one till it lines up. Then once you have them all 3 lined up, it'll destroy the Atlas head statue, blow all that off, and the beam will shoot through over the greenhouse side. Now that you've done that, we can move on to the next step, which is hunting for the symbols and the scratch marks. Like I said, there's 7 possible symbol locations. You only have 3 in your game, but there's 7 possible ones, and each location has 3 possible scratch mark locations. So we're going to jump right into the entrance hall. Your symbol will be underneath this table to the left of the Danu statue. Your first set of scratch marks will be to the left of that pillar on the bottom, up on the top of that wall, and over here on the shield. There wasn't one on that one. Okay, moving on to the main hall. Down here towards this fireplace on the left will be your symbol. Top of the fireplace to the right of the Mozu by, and then back here behind this statue. So you got 3 by the statue, 5 on top of the fireplace, and then back behind the wall, behind the Mozu wall by, you'll find your 3rd set. Now you'll have to have at least 2 sets, but as you saw with the entrance hall, it only had 2 sets. So I had 3, 3, and 5, so that would give me a total of 11. Now here's down in the wine cellar, back on this barrel, over here on the cabinet, down here in the wine is your symbol location, and back on that big barrel is your last set. In the billiards room, underneath this table is your symbol. Underneath this table is the scratch marks. Up beside this bookshelf, set of scratch marks, and then on top of this cabinet you'll also see, now this one's tricky here, so I zoomed it in a little bit. See, there are 3 scratches there. Sometimes you'll have to have something with a scope. Now here's the library. On the back of this box you'll see 5 scratch marks. Up on this wall has 3, and then this next one's a little tricky too. Something with a scope helps. At the foot of this dinosaur statue fossil, you can see here with the scope there's 5 there. So I had 5, 5, and 3, so that's 13. and then here's your symbol for that. Now that symbol sometimes has trouble rendering in, so you might have to look at it for a while. In the master bedroom, on the nightstand, I had 3. Back here behind this case is where your symbols are. I got the sideways S's on the side of that fireplace. And then this one is also a tricky one to see, the scratch marks here. So there's your symbol again. There's a set of scratch marks. There was 4 there. And then this scratch mark set's tough, so I tend to try to throw the Wraith Fire into this window. I didn't have any in this game. It usually lights them up. But here's in the dining hall above the silver location. Possible. There's another possible silver location on the table there, and one up on the wall. And then your symbol location will be down here on the side of this pillar. It's a little hard to see, but that was the sword. So then once you have all 3 symbols and you've counted up all the scratch marks, you put the one with the lowest amount in first. Just rotate the dial with action and then hit your melee to enter it. Then the one that had the middle number, and then the one with the most amount of scratch marks. Remember, not the most amount of sets of scratch marks, but you have to count up each scratch. Then once you input it, you'll hear that noise. The telescope will rotate. You have to wait until it's done rotating. And then what you're going to do is walk up to this valve on the top and pull out your shield and hold square X to interact with it. Open up that window and then shield bash it to keep it open. Now what you have to do after this, you have to go down and activate the trap here, and then run through it with your shield out to electrify your shield, and then go up and shield blast the telescope. And that'll be the end of the step. Now if you are doing this in solo, you just do it obviously, but if you're doing it in co-op, this last part, just the part with the electrified shield, everybody has to do together, like you're seeing here. So everybody has to be pretty much at the exact same time when they shield bash this. It's not too tough, you know, it's a little forgiving, but everybody has to get an electrified shield, come up here and bash it at the same time. So once you've done that, the only thing left to do now is to do your lockdown. So go ahead and interact with that cabinet. It'll open up and reveal a stone tablet. That's just left of the trap. So go ahead and activate that and hold square or X. Everybody in your game, if you're playing co-op, will have to hold square on at the same time. And now you're going to be locked into the greenhouse and have zombies, vampires, and then eventually werewolves come at you. Now you can do this right away when you do it, or I like to wait until I'm ready to fight the boss. That way I have all my perks, a pack-a-punch, I have the wooden stake, because you're just going to stay here. I like to put my back to the fast travel here, use Alistair's Annihilator, charge shots. But remember, the red vampires do jump through that, so that's why the wooden stake comes in handy. I also suggest having a Scepter of Ra, because once these werewolves come in, I like to put it down, level 3 charged up. That way if you go down, it brings you back up. You don't lose it down, you don't lose your perks, or even in multiplayer, nobody loses their perks if they go down. Plus it slows down the werewolves and the zombies. And then in this map, for the werewolf and the zombies, and even the final boss, the Mog 12 or the Spitfire with silver bullets and pack-a-punched all the way up really do a good job with the werewolves and the end boss. So that's it. Once you survive the lockdown, go interact with the stone. It'll give you a max ammo for your troubles, and that's it. Telescope's done. You can move on to the next step. If you found this video helpful, drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.